Every hour of every day, your brain is flooded with images. You can only concentrate on a few at once. But all the while, your unconscious will be automatically filtering this visual deluge.
The human brain is really an amazing machine. It's an amazing system. I mean, one of the really intriguing things about the brain is that we're able to take this kind of visual chaos and clutter and then find salient information in that scene that matters to us, that generates this, aha, wait a minute, I should look over there.
Using its own powerful internal code, your unconscious decides which information is worthy of your conscious attention.
There are essentially these signals that are labeling the world, what we like to call neural signatures or neural markers, that are saying, oh, that might be worth exploring, that might be interesting.
Harnessing these signals could change how we cope with the data overload we all face in the 21st century. A prospect raising the interest of the US military. Afghanistan. In war zones, enemy bases can be hard to spot. To find them, the military rely on satellite images. Hunting through these is a slow and monotonous task that can't be done automatically by computer.
An image analyst might have to look at a very large aerial image. For instance, here, an image that's tens to hundreds of square kilometers. The question is, where do I look in this image to find buildings, to find objects of interest?
But by tapping into the power of the brain, Professor Sajda thinks this process can be dramatically shortened.
One thing we might want to do is, instead of scanning this image from the upper corner down, have a more intelligent search that's based on little regions that grab our attention.
To do this, the satellite image is randomly separated into hundreds of sub-images. A few show buildings, which is what Professor Sajda hopes to find. He will rapidly view all the sub-images, while his brain response to each one is recorded with his EEG cap.
This is an electroencephalography cap. It allows us to detect signals that would be related to what we would call an aha moment. We see something of interest, it catches our attention, it generates aha, that's important to me, and that information is transmitted from this cap to a computer which analyzes it to labeled imagery.
This is mind reading, 21st century style. To begin with, Professor Sajda looks at a sample image containing a building. The computer registers his resulting neural aha signal.
What we're interested in doing is finding the patterns that are related to this aha signal, and then use that pattern of activity to rank all the images that I'm going to see.
With brain and computer now linked, the sub-images from the large satellite picture start flashing up on screen.
So what I'm doing now is looking at a whole barrage of images, 5 or 10 a second. And while I'm doing that, my brain is decoding that information and using it to label the images. So when you're looking at these images, the best thing to do is actually relax. You get into a zone where your brain just does the work.
Professor Sajda is not immediately aware of any images of buildings. But his brain activity suggests something very different. Back in the main lab, the results appear on screen.
What you see actually is a tiling of the entire image, where each of these little squares is actually one of the images as it was flashed. And they're color-coded based on the ranking that was computed from my brain activity. So essentially, how strong was the aha when you saw that particular image? So regions that are marked in red are very strong. They grab my attention. In dark blue are less engaging. This little tile here is actually the most highly ranked image. This is a close-up of that particular region. What you can see here is this is basically a compound. There are roadways, there's obviously a building, some man-made structure. So the real gain here is the fact that instead of moving through this large image very laboriously, now I can actually jump from image to image or location to location based on what grabbed my attention.
By tapping into his own brain, Professor Sajda has increased his image spotting efficiency by 300%. It's a breakthrough, not just for military image analysts, but for everyone. From interacting with computer games, to advertising, to revolutionizing the analysis of medical images, the ability to harness the power of the unconscious heralds a bold new future.